Welcome to The Profile. My name is Gary Dunn, and on this show we always try to find out something about our guests that we didn't already know. And thanks to ProCopy, we're able to interview some of Perth's more colourful musicians. And with all due respect to everyone I've interviewed so far, tonight it's very special for me because one of my idols is here, and I'm getting really excited. Welcome to the bench, Mr. Dave Hull.
Thank
you for coming in.
A pleasure.
Dave, firstly, where were you born?
I was born in Cheshire in England.
And for our guests, could you tell us where Cheshire is?
Cheshire's that little bit that sticks out just above Wales on the west coast of England. It's actually a little peninsula between, or the part I come from, in the Wirral, it's a little peninsula between the Dee River and the Mersey. Okay. It's actually quite close to Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is their football team? Have they ever won anything?
The Cheshire have never. Chester is the local team. Yep. They've never won anything. No,
yeah.
I think they've struggled to remain in the fourth division.
Yeah.
But the two teams that are closest are Everton and Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Dave. Coming from England, how old were you when you came to Australia?
Four. Yeah.
Yep. And obviously you're a guitar player. I know that for sure, and a very good one. But so, what was the catalyst in your life that brought you to where you are now?
You're talking about the music.
Yes,
of course,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I got interested in music when I was very young, 6, 7 years old, listening to the radio, and I always enjoyed all the music that was on it. It was Buddy Holly, the Everly Brothers, Dwayne Eddy, and that sort of stuff. And I was infatuated with music in general, but I always loved anything with a twangy guitar sound to it. Shadows too. Yeah. You know? And so that got me interested in it, and I pestered my parents for a number of years. I was 11 before they eventually buckled and bought me my first guitar. But it's been an ongoing journey a straight line journey really from then to now.
Yeah, and it's always hard for the parents. I remember myself, can you buy me a guitar? And there's other kids and they're expensive and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Well, they're relatively cheap now to get someone a guitar, but in those days, even the guitar I got was almost unplayable, but it wasn't cheap.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So what would have been your earliest influence as far as music goes, a band?
I think Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers were my two things I loved when I was very little. And then as I got older in my teenage years, well, the Beatles came along and the Rolling Stones and that sort of thing. And that's the avenue by which I discovered the blues and eventually the sort of what I would call the sort of originating artists, your Muddy Waters and Howling Wolf and Robert Johnson and et cetera, Charlie Patton. Yeah,
they're the ones I wanted to know about because you're obviously a blues man and
they're the ones that really got me where I live and sort of inspired me.
Yeah.
But that was a bit later.
Yeah.
I actually started learning guitar when I was 11. Gave it up when I was 12.
Yes.
I was burnt out.
At 11.
Put it under the bed, and I sort of resurrected it when I was 16, and I met a friend, my friend Darryl Upson, was putting together a band at high school in Scarborough, and he kind of roped me in. Well, he wanted to know if anyone played guitar, and even though I couldn't, I had a guitar under the bed, So I got roped in there, and that really was the start, really. So I had a hiatus. I started playing when I was 11. I didn't really play properly until I was 16.
So what would have been the first band? Take us back to those early...
that first band that we formed at high school was, our name was The Broken Habits. Nobody ever heard of us, but we played a few parties and things.
Yeah.
Then we had some membership changes and became the John Spence Set, which once again was not really known at the time.
Yeah.
We did do a few gigs, and then I think the first known band of any sort that I got in would have been the Beaten Tracks.
Yeah.
Which was late '60s, and that was really not a blues band, but I kind of got into. They were looking for a guitar player, and my friend dragged me along to an
Yeah.
audition, and I sort of got dragged into it. But they were a good band, very good actually, really good players.
Yeah.
In fact, Ace Follington, who plays with me now, was also in Beaten Tracks.
Oh, wow.
Warren Morgan,
Yeah,
fantastic keyboard player,
Yeah.
played with Billy Thorpe and everybody else
Mm.
over east. He was in it, and Murray Wilkins, good bass player.
Yeah.
So it was a good band, very good players, and we won the Battle of the Bands, the Hoadley's Battle of the Bands they used to have.
Yep, that was chocolate in those days, wasn't it?
Yep, Hoadley's, Polly Waffles, Violet Crumbles.
Didn't that
That was the prize.
eat as much chocolate as you
Pretty
can get
much.
down?
No, we got to go over east and compete in the final and all that. Yeah.
Because that band evolved into Chain, didn't it?
Well, it sort of did. I was while I was in that band, I was also doing university course, and I had to leave them to continue my studies. I actually deferred for a year, and I tried to defer for a second year, and they said, no, 1 year's okay. So I had to go back, and when I left, Phil Manning joined the Beaten Tracks, and then I wasn't really involved with them from that point, but they did sort of mutate into Chain, really.
Yeah.
Eventually, Matt
Taylor.
Matt Taylor joined them, and so yeah.
So I don't know, you say Phil Manning, that's really strange, because I remember when I worked for a wholesale company, we were selling Maton guitars, and they had a Phil Manning, like a gold.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Phil's always been associated with Maton, always been a big supporter of them.
Yeah, that's right. So after that, obviously, you just started the Dave Hole band, because I can remember going to see you play Sandgroper. I was very young, White Sound, so I used to sneak in all of wherever I could. Because you're a massive influence on me, although I'm not a blues player, but...
whenever I couldn't get a decent singer, it was always the Dave Hole band, I had to step in and do it. So that was the Dave Hole bands, and I had so many lineups over the years. But yes, they were great days playing the White Sands and all those gigs back then.
So I saw you, I think for the first time in 73 or 74, and then I saw you as recently as 6 weeks ago at the Ravenswood doing a blues night there, and sort of blew me away, because Roy Daniels was on stage with you as well, long grey hair.
Yes, and he was with me back in the White Sand days.
Yes, absolutely amazing. So early bands, the Short Fuse Blues, I think in 90s, is that where it progressed to?
Well, yes, I mean eventually, we're sort of skipping along.
Yeah, we're skipping
but
along.
That's all right.
No, please fill in the blanks for me, please.
Well, no, that's fine. The Short Fuse Blues was the first band that I had that achieved any real recognition, you know, and that was, and we made the first album here in Perth.
Yeah.
And that
Where
was 1990. That was at Planet Studios in Subi.
Was it Graham?
Was John Villani.
Oh, John Villani, yeah.
Graham owned it, John Villani was the engineer.
Yeah.
And Les Williams helped out a lot also on that album.
So after that, what that was the first band that sort of got recognition. So
yeah, that really changed things a lot for me, because from that point on I was mostly playing overseas. So I went to America and Europe and didn't do much, and still to this day don't do very much in Australia. So I feel like my career's in two halves. The pre-Short Fuse Blues, and the post-Short Fuse Blues. So
yeah, because you've performed in Brazil, Norway, Sweden, Russia, Italy, Germany, Spain, just about you name it.
Yes, well, once I got picked up by an American record company and I started touring in America, that really breaks open the rest of the world. That's the thing. In fact, even in Australia, I mean, I didn't really have a name. I still don't really have a name in Australia, but to the extent that I have played in, done East Coast tours and things over the years, it's been really on the back of having success in America, not from having success here. So, but it does that all over the world. So as soon as I became known in America, in the blues sense, in the blues fraternity, then we get a festival in Brazil or whatever, and Europe broke open. So I've been everywhere in Europe and played Europe a lot as well.
So how was that American sort of tour schedule? What can you let us know?
It's pretty grueling for people like myself, you know, because it's all one-nighters. You know, you see the Rolling Stones, they tour for 6 months, but they do they do 2 gigs a week, and then they go home for a month and then come back and do another, you know. But with me, it's pretty full on, and you know, even doing sort of a couple of months, like just one-nighters, can be really tiring.
Absolutely.
But it's exhilarating at the same time. So it's a love-hate thing, you know.
Sort of means you get out of bed later, doesn't it? So.
Well, that's the problem. You don't get enough sleep. That's the biggest problem with it. Is exactly that. That you might sort of finish a late night thing. You get to bed at 3 o'clock, and you might have to get up at 7 or 8 to get on the road.
Absolutely.
Get to the airport or on the road, and then you go and you do your sound check and you do your interviews, radio a bit or whatever and stuff, and it's like this cycle. And sleep is the first thing to go.
Yes.
And that's what wears you down.
Yeah. Well, you survived it, so you're looking all right.
Yeah, I bounced back, you know.
So in 1995, you had an album, Steel on Steel, that went to number 13, I think, in the charts.
You told me this, but I don't remember.
Okay, Dave Hole, this is your life.
Yeah.
In 1997, you had an album, Ticket to Chicago, went to number 15. On Billboard, it was on the Billboard Top Blues Albums.
Right.
Yes. Surely you must know that.
Well, I know I got some good reviews in Billboard and stuff, but I don't follow the charts exactly, but that was good to know.
Okay, moving on, Mr. Dave Hole, this is your life. Your 6th album, Under the Spell, released in 1999, won Best Blues and Roots Album at the ARIA Awards. So you have an ARIA.
Yes, I do.
Wow. And I believe you brought a replica in with you tonight.
No.
Okay. It's not that.
It's not. No, I should have brought the ARIA.
And there's the albums here, but isn't it? Where is it? Under the Spell.
That's the Under the Spell album there.
Fantastic.
They're all lined up strategically.
We can all get in there and have a look at. So 10
For anyone
albums.
who wants to buy the complete set, you know, any collectors out there.
Is there a special price for the complete box set of 10 albums?
Oh yes. We pay for 9 and get 1 free.
Can you let our viewers know where they can?
They can actually get them from. They can get them at good retailers and all that stuff, and online and iTunes and all that. But they can also get them from my website, which is davehole.com.
Yep. So there you go, davehole.com. Write that down, and Dave's made the offer tonight. Buy the 10 albums and you'll get 1 for free.
No, actually, we do a bit better than that. So.
Oh, you do better than
that? I know. My wife runs it, so...
Okay.
Our own little, web sales.
Yep. And how's all that going? Are you all over the world?
Well, I mean, mostly, like, most of my albums are sold by the record company in America and whatever, and Europe as well. So it's just... I just do the some sales from the website, and that's really just more or less a courtesy for people who actually go to the website and want to get them. You know, so I don't do it very. It's not a big thing,
Yeah. Watching you live as a youngster as well, I always was amazed that you played slide this way.
Over the top.
Yeah, over the top, and I always played slide from the bottom, and I tried that, but I for my life I couldn't.
Yeah, well, that came about from an accident when I broke the little finger on my left hand.
You couldn't put the slide on there.
Couldn't put the slide on, and it was at a time when I'd only just started to play slide, so I hadn't really become accustomed to doing it the correct way, and so I had a cast on that finger for a few months, about 3 months I think, and so while I was sitting around at home, I put the slide on that finger and doodle around that way, and it just stuck. I got used to it, and I liked the way it sounded, and never reverted to the so-called correct way of doing it. So
well, that just always intrigued me about
it. It is a bit unusual, but when you consider now that so many people play lap steel kind of thing, it's a kind of a hybrid. That I you look at it, it's a hybrid between sitting down and playing lap steel and standing up.
So what other jobs throughout your life have you? Every one of us has had to supplement our income being a musician.
I've been very fortunate, really, because I have I had a job for 2 weeks. I went to England to live for a couple of years in the early 70s, and I didn't have enough for the airfare, so I 2 weeks' work out at the Cudale freight yards, closing the freight wagon doors. You know.
Yep.
That was a night. It was a night. It wasn't a day gig, so
it's night.
It's night time. That was only for 2 weeks. So, and then when I wanted to come back from England, I didn't have my airfare once again. So I worked for a couple of months in a dispatch of a clothing company in Angel in London.
Yeah.
Islington.
Islington. Yeah. It's in the east. East of
sort of
London.
north, just north London there. Yeah. And that was just to get the money. But other than that, I haven't. I've been really had a very fortunate life. I've been able to just play music. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And the 10 albums that we talked about here, the recent one you've just done, you were telling me before that it's probably the only album where you haven't had to rush it, and you've just actually.
Well, the one that will be releasing in a couple of months' time is has been done over a lot longer period. These were all done. You know, get into a studio and do it in 2 weeks, and the record company's breathing down your neck, you know, for a release date, and you've got to get, you know, all done in a timely manner. But this one, I stepped back and I'm just doing it at my own pace, and really enjoyed doing it. You know. I think that's why it's gone on for so long.
Yes.
Because, you know, in making it, because I'm just having a great time. Sort of, you know, end up throwing one song out and I got a better one, and so, you know, that sort
of. Will that ever end? Will it
well, you've got to be careful. You know, sometimes you just have to abandon the whole thing, you know, and say that's it. Draw a line under it, because you can go on forever.
And when will that be? You got an idea when that will be released? Or?
Yeah, I think probably July or August.
Cool.
This year. It's basically finished, but I'm finalising mixes and stuff. So.
Yeah. And just moving sideways, like family. Children?
No, I don't have any children, but I've been married for, well, what is it? I can't remember. I got married in 1971, so figure that. Yeah. So
that's my math quickly is 46 years.
Yeah.
Get less for murder. Okay.
Okay. Not going there.
So, what would your favourite band of all time be, Dave?
Well, I mean, most of the artists that I like are individual players who might play with a band, you know. But if you're looking at a band, it's really hard to go past the original Little Feat. I think. They were a decent band.
Yeah.
I think they were, you know, really very evenly talented. The one with Lowell George, you know.
Yeah,
Little Feat.
And okay, getting onto a guitar player or an artist, who would be your favourite? Yeah.
That's all so hard. I got so many, but I mean, Elmore James has been probably my single biggest influence, I think, when I really look at my style of playing and all that sort of thing. But you know, there's all those early guys, you know, Bucka White and Blind Lemon Jefferson, Robert Johnson, you know, Mississippi Fred McDowell. There's Earl Hooker. Yeah. There's just so many.
Lots of them.
And they've all had an effect. You know, I love them all, and I've learnt from all of those people.
When you were touring in America, did you meet any of these?
Some of them. I've gotten to be quite good friends with Buddy Guy, who's been an influence on me. Otis Rush, who I remember sitting in my bedroom when I was a teenager, learned every lick on his album.
And you met him? And
I played. He's actually come to my gigs.
Wow.
And sat in with me.
What
twice.
a buzz!
And you know, on one occasion, he put his guitar down and just sang, and I played the licks because I know the licks from all of his. I know the things from his records, and that was wonderful. That was great. You know, it's like a full circle thing.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
He was good. You know, I've met John Mayall's become something of a friend.
Yeah. Wow.
Once again, that was he was a big early influence when I first heard John Mayall with Eric Clapton and that. Yeah. Yeah.
And what would your favourite TV show be growing up?
Well, when I was a teenager, actually probably maybe about 12, 13, there was a show on called A for Andromeda, and it was a drama thing, and it was all about the Earth was getting sort of pulses of electromagnetic radiation from somewhere in the Andromeda, you know, galaxy, and it was a really great science fiction thing. It grabbed me, and because I've always been like, I mean, I did physics at university.
Yep.
And it's always been a parallel interest with me to music. Not that I've spent nearly as much time doing that.
Yeah.
But that triggered it, I think, that early that program. So I guess hard to pick a favourite TV show, and there's been so many great ones, but that'd be it, I think.
So you went to uni, did physics. What were you hoping to get out of that?
Well, I really only I only went to university because when I left high school I wasn't able to make a living playing music. So I went to uni because it was just the thing to do, and I did get very high marks in physics and maths. So when I turned up at uni, they said, well, that's what you got to do, But I loved it, and I did my degree, and then promptly became a professional musician, as you do,
There is a bit of a synergy between physics, math, and being a musician. Actually,
I believe there is, because physics is, modern physics is pretty much mathematics, and I think there is an allied sort of, thing between them. There's so many musicians seem to be. It's a bit of a paradox because people don't think of them. They think of them as opposites. Yeah. But they do seem to be allied skills. Yeah.
So at the top of the show, I said we typically find out something we didn't know about our guest. Well, is there something that you can tell us now that nobody knows?
Well, if you're asking for something that I don't want anybody to know, then I'm not going to tell you. Well, I don't actually. Honestly, that's got me because I don't know. I don't think there's anything that particularly. I mean, I don't know what people know about me, so.
We can come back to that in a sec. While you think, and I'll ask this question.
Possibly, actually, the fact that I was involved with physics and sort of did a degree and.
So we've completed that for the producer. We've actually let people know something that they didn't know, really.
That's probably, a lot of people wouldn't know that about me.
Yeah. Finger pointing going on in the room. So what unfulfilled ambitions do you have? Is there anything you would have liked to have done, or something you still need to do?
Boring to say it, but I don't actually have any. I mean, professionally I've sort of done a lot more things than I would have ever hoped to have done or ever expected. So I can't say that I've got unfulfilled ambitions there. And personally, I'm happier than any man has a right to be. So can't say anything there. And the bucket list thing, jumping out of planes, not really for me.
No.
And I've travelled a lot. Yeah. And haven't been to Antarctica or anywhere, but I'm not that bothered about it. So no, I don't have. I don't have.
Great place.
I don't have any burning ambitions.
Yeah, cool.
To be honest, that's just being truthful. I don't. Maybe I'm not ambitious enough, but So.
Well, do you collect anything?
I'm not really a collector, but I do have quite a few guitar amps. That's been a bit of a penchant. I don't really collect guitars very much.
Just amps.
But amps I've always, had a bit of a thing for, looking for the perfect sound, of course.
What is your favourite amp?
Well, my favourite is still the little Bassman head, the 940 watt Bassman head that I've had for a long, long time. I think I bought it in about mid-70s.
That's 2-channel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got the...
That's my favourite, but I've got a lot of, I think what happened when I started going to America, all those vintage Tweed amps, and I've got little Fender Tweed, 58 Tweed and Deluxe and all those things. They never made their way to Australia. You never saw them or got hold of them. So when I'd see them in a little shop somewhere, or and I'd buy them, and so I've got a few of those sort of boutique amps, or what they call vintage amplifiers.
Did you get into the reissue thing? Like they've reissued all these?
Not so much, because I've got most of the ones that are reissued. Not most of them, but the ones that I'm interested in most, I've got the old ones, and the old ones are better.
Yeah. Wife's shoes, Dave's amps. Okay, is there anything else that we go back to that question of we don't know about you, or you thought about that, or you just want to skip that and we'll move?
No, I can't think of anything offhand, to be honest.
What would you put on your gravestone, Dave? Sorry about that question.
I would put it in very, very small print, so that anyone to read it would have to get very close and peer at it. And then I would put, "Get off me, you great lump."
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I really appreciate you coming in and yeah, just waiting to see your new album, or hear it, I should say. And so get it out quickly. Don't dawdle for too much longer, please.
No, it's about time. So
thank you very much. Really
thanks,
enjoyed you having you here.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. And I guess don't forget, each episode goes to air at 12:05 Friday lunchtime in Perth. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us the thumbs up. And that's all for this episode. Thank you for joining us.
There's a little song called "Take Me to Chicago." Back in 1958. Drop me out on the south side. I wanna see you all the way. I walked up and down the street with my guitar in my hand. Up and down the street, my guitar in my hand. The joint was jumping. They had the best band in the land. Chicago, back in 1958. Drop me out on the south side. I wanna see you all the way. Chicago, back in 1958. Take me to Chicago, back in 1958. Drop me out on the south side, I wanna see